Jocko Willink has a great book on leadership. It's phenomenal. And I believe it's the first chapter where the title of the first chapter is something like Step Back, right? Which the second I cracked the book and I started to read it, I had to chuckle to myself. Because again, this is something we've been teaching in NLP since the 1980s. Perceptual positions. Let me demonstrate though. A friend of mine is a Marine, and he went to the Iraq War. And when he got back, because one of the key areas of interest for me in NLP is helping people with PTSD. And so when we were talking, I just wanted to check on him and see how he was doing. You know, war is stressful. And it's also a reason why the military can be a great teacher for leaders, right? How are leaders able to be effective in the most stressful environment, which is combat, the most uncertain, the most stressful, etc. And one of the things that he told me when he came back, because I was checking on his mental health, and he says, you know, Pete, it's so interesting. When the battle started, I had an out-of-body experience. And I literally look at myself in the battle almost like I was playing a video game. And I would give myself commands like reload, fire, cover, reload. And he said, I felt none of the emotional turmoil that a lot of the guys that I went with did. And I don't have any of the signs or symptoms of PTSD coming back from it. Now, Jocko Willink writes about this in his book on leadership, that as a commander, it is essential, it is mission critical that you're able to step back. It quite literally, and we're going to get into this in a second, but when he says step back, it means step out of your perspective. Stop seeing through your eyes, step back and see yourself and the entire situation. And if you can see yourself and the situation, what you've done is you've entered into a neutral observer position. And when you do this effectively, a couple things happen, which are going to be so useful for you as a leader. A, the second you do it, you cut off or you disconnect from any intense emotion. So that could be fear, stress, anxiety, anger. The second you're able to step back and see yourself and push you need to get some distance from it sometimes. So you might have to see it from far away or see it from the right distance or the right angle that allows you to be in a neutral observer and see yourself there and see the situation, the other people, whatever the circumstances. This immediately shuts off your negative emotional response. This is in the NLP Academy's public speaking training. They had us over and over and over again in the middle of our presentations step back and look at ourselves. Now, in addition to cutting off from negative emotions, the second thing this does, it allows you to self-coach, because you literally are seeing yourself from the outside. It's one of the things I discovered. So when I was going through and I was doing the public speaking and I was feeling the nerves, as soon as I was able to step out of myself and look at myself, I was like, okay, relax, take a deep breath. And from that perspective, you can, as opposed to being in it yourself, right? So A, you're more emotionally resourceful. B, you have a neutral, as close to an unbiased perspective as you can get of the other people and the situation. So you gather more data, right? So this is the first thing, being able to step back and be the observer, see yourself dispassionately. If you don't have this skill yet, train it, practice it, or get yourself into a training where it's trained in you. And when you do it enough, this becomes a muscle. They discovered that the more they practice, I'm talking about the co-creators of NLP, the more these perceptual positions, like being the observer, became automatic abilities in the moment. So this, you could consider this a leadership workout for you, quite literally leadership muscle. And you will get to a time and place rather quickly. It's not that hard. It's just, seeing a different perspective. But if you do it enough times, it becomes an in-the-moment resource. When things get stressful, boom, I step out, I see it, and then I can, do what's appropriate. On the topic of perceptual positions, we also have something called other position, where instead of being a neutral observer, you step into the other person's shoes. And this takes a bit of training as well. Your rapport skills should be pretty good. But what happens, you learn to see and feel and hear through someone else's perspective. This ramps up your communication skills. It takes your ability to have empathy, deep rapport, understanding of someone else's perspective, which is essential. When we talk about leadership, it's not leadership. It's connect and lead. It's walk with and lead. It's not, this is where we're going, right? If you're a good leader, you already know that your goal should be to meet people where they are and bridge them to a better vision, right? But if you just shove your vision down their mouth, nobody wants it, right? So that ability to see where they are, right, is going to be greatly enhanced by working on your perceptual positions. Great marketers do this, great salespeople do this, great therapists and coaches do this naturally. It's something you can train, and again, make it an in-the-moment choice for you. And then, of course, you want to most of the time come back and live in your first position in your body, seeing through your own eyes, all right? So that's perceptual positions. The second choice for remaining calm as a leader is the anchoring toolkit, right? So by now, if you're not aware that you can elicit states of consciousness such as calm, grounded, confident, poised, if you're not aware that you have the choice to elicit those states and then anchor them, anchor is attach a stimulus to it, then you can do that, right? There are videos on this channel about anchoring. There are videos on a lot of channels about anchoring. The best way to do it first is get somebody to do it for you so you know what good anchoring feels like, and then start doing it for yourself. But if you have a practice, for example, your leadership muscle building, where you see, okay, these are the things that have stressed me out in the past or pissed me off or made me feel uncertain, right? And you know what those triggers are. Again, go back to my video on the meta pattern if you really want to learn how to wire in this calm state for yourself in an ongoing fashion. If you know what the triggers are and you elicit and anchor the resource state, then all you got to do is do that enough times where you take the state and attach it to the trigger until your brain fires and wires enough times that it goes, okay, when shit hits the fan, I'm going to go into that calm state where I can make better decisions, I can act more effectively, where I can project to my team that everything is okay. And you can also remember that have a bailout anchor. Have an anchor set so that if in the moment, things hit the fan that you didn't plan for, you can always have that resource at your fingertips, so to speak. So the anchoring suite will be very useful for you. Last but not least, meaning, story. In my opinion, the other piece of this that's mission critical is your ability to make meaning on purpose, to believe on purpose. If as a leader you don't know the role of beliefs in your performance and the performance of your company, you're leaving a lot on the table. So go look up the Pygmalion effect, where a person's certainty transfers to their team, and then as a leader, that certainty transfers even more powerfully. Maybe you're familiar, I think it was I can't remember whose experiments it was. I want to say Rosenthal, but I don't remember. Back when psychologists were allowed to conduct experiments on children, they they took a school teacher and they gave her a classroom of C students, told the teacher that these were A students, and then they gave the same teacher classroom of A students and told them that they were C students. So the teacher accepts the belief from the person that gave it to her, yeah, then transfers it to those students. So by the end of the year, the C students became A students because the teacher has the belief that they are. And the A students have become C students. So we're seeing a belief transfer, A, first, from the researcher to the teacher, and then from the teacher to the students that had a direct relationship to their performance. So as a leader, we cannot allow the world or the environment to dictate our meaning. It's not gonna work. So we have to, if we're not already in a place of having certainty, and even if we are, it's a good practice to reflect on what is the story, what is the narrative, what is the certainty, what is the meaning I'm creating, and then what meaning am I passing on to my team? And you cannot pass on certainty that you don't have. So yeah, you can say this is going to be a great quarter, we're going to succeed, blah, blah, blah. But if it's not inside you with certainty, you cannot give it to them first. So this is the other thing we need to get extremely good at. There's when people talk about Steve Jobs in that reality distortion field, whether you like the man or not, right, that's not relevant. His ability to be so certain about a future that certainty transfers to his team. Your team deserves it, your company deserves it, assuming you're doing good things, right? Which I'm sure you are. We have to decide what the meaning is, right? And as a coach, I have to know that my clients are capable of way more than they think they are. Because if I don't have that certainty, then I can't reveal it to them, right? So these are the three things that are gonna, in my opinion, really help you stay calm as a leader. A, your perceptual positions. B, having access to the anchoring kit it's going to be really useful for you. And meaning, having a practice for understanding how beliefs are influencing you, having the skill set of recognizing what beliefs are showing up, being able to change and influence your beliefs, and then transfer it. If you would like to apply for coaching, go ahead and click the link below. Otherwise, I shall see you in the next video.